So Yotes is making Galaktobouriko today. She's very nervous. So we're starting by putting 1 litre of 2 litres of milk. We're using South Australian pure milk. We've got our sugar, our butter, our lemon zest, the egg yolks that we'll whisk,
and the
semolina. So we've put 1 cup of coarse semolina and half a cup of fine. A quarter of a 250 gram block of unsalted butter, and a full lemon zest. This is a multitasker, so on this side she's getting the syrup ready. So she's put how many cups of sugar?
1.5.
1.5 cups of sugar, and 3/4 of the butter is melting, ready for the filo pastry. So just whisking the eggs into. Where do you put it now? You put it now?
Yeah.
So already whisking in the eggs into the custard mixture, and Yotes just took out a little bit of butter out of the already arguing, took out a little bit of the butter out of what we put before, because she prefers to have more butter for the pastry, because that's what gives it that nice crunch. So she's just got the heat on low at the moment, just to make sure that everything mixes in well together, the sugar, the semolina, allow the butter to melt and whisk it nicely. So you just keep mixing it until it starts to thicken, everything will start to dissolve. Yeah, just make sure it's all mixing in well together, because you don't want the eggs syrup, to curdle.
You
keep it boiling until why, Yotes?
Until it's
Nice and thick.
nice and thick and sits on the
nail. We'll show you the trick later. So you just gotta keep it boiling till all the sugar dissolves, and that's why you do it at the same time, because you need the syrup to cool down before you put it on. Starting to thicken up. Still got a bit more to go. So basically, how long do you keep cooking it for, Yotes?
not quite sure.
Till the
Until it got thicker.
thicker.
But if it's too thick, sometimes we add milk if it is thick. But
Add milk. Yeah. And this is still boiling, so keep going on that one just till it thickens as well, because you want to get a nice syrup. The butter's ready to go, melted for the pastry. When this gets thicker, you use a whisk as well to make sure that you don't get any lumps.
no, doesn't get lumpy anymore.
Doesn't get lumpy.
No, at the beginning it gets the lumps.
So when would you use the whisk?
At the beginning.
At the beginning, when everything's melting. If you see that there's getting lumps, just get a whisk, but Yotes has mastered it. She puts everything in when everything's cold. So to test the syrup, to make sure that it's ready, you put it on the top of your nail, and if it sits, it's ready, but that's not ready yet. So we've got a lemon ready here to squeeze in once that's ready to go. So I'm just going to squeeze half a lemon into the syrup. Basically, I think it prepares the syrup to be ready, sort of gives it the flavour and thickens it up a little bit. So you just chuck
you put
the
the
whole
lemon
in
so it
there.
doesn't get the crystal, whatever they put.
So one puts the lemon in there so you don't get the sugar crystals. You see the cream's getting nice and thick, the custard. So just be careful not to burn yourself, so you got to keep stirring it, because when it bubbles, sometimes it pops.
It's
so
ready
that's
anyway.
ready. So you just really look at that consistency. That means that your custard is nice and thick and ready. And when you cut into it, when it's cooked, it's not going to go everywhere. It's going to stay nice and thick and dense.
I think it's just a little bit thick. Because if it cools down, it's going to go thicker.
I'm just going to add a little bit of milk, just so that it loosens up a little bit, because what you have to think is it's going to set once it's cooled down. What did you say, Yotes? Just under 1.5 cups?
Yeah.
And make sure that you use a proper cup measure, because if you use a mug or a random cup, it might be too much. So just about 1.25 in total. So you're going to do half each of the fine and the coarse. So it's going to be that runny.
It's anyway. It's a thing as well. Like it's preferable as well. If you like it thick.
Yeah, if you like it thick, you can make it thicker, but this is how Yotes makes it. Custard's going to get turned off now. That's ready. And then we're also going to turn off the syrup. We're going to let it cool down for a little bit, and then Yotes is going to test it on her spoon.
Did you put 15 minutes?
So 15 minutes to boil that approximately.
Medium heat.
Medium heat.
On medium heat, whatever.
So we're going to test that now. Just cool it down a little bit. So I was just swirling it a little bit on the spoon, and then you put that on your nail, and if it stays, it's ready to go. So just do
just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. Make sure you take out that lemon rind out, otherwise somebody's going to get a nice chunky lemon rind in there. You don't want that. So take out the lemon rind. Again, that gives it nice flavour. So it gives it that nice zest, but without having any of those pieces in the custard. So that's one of Yotes' tricks. And we've got the custard, the syrup sitting there. It's approximately 40 centimetres. We're not 100% sure, but you get the gist of it. It's that kind of pan. Make sure you put your butter on the outside of the pan, on the inside of the pan. So we do how many of these Yotes? How many layers?
6.
6 layers.
5 to 6. Yeah.
5 to 6 on the bottom, and so you make sure you put butter all on the whole sheet, and then you lay it in the pan. Make sure that you are slowly pressing on the sides, so then that way it gets right to the edge of the pan, and then you keep going. So you don't need to do both sides of the sheet, just the one, basically, so that you get the other sheet done when you lay it on the top. Just said that if the tray's too big, you have to make sure that your pastry goes on the sides, because otherwise you're going to lose your mixture. So it has to go on the sides of the tray. I've just got some commentary in the background with Matteo. But yeah, you need to make sure that your pastry goes on the side, so then you don't lose your mixture. These sheets, these 5 to 6 sheets, get folded over the custard, so then that way it looks nice and neat. So you'll see what we do here. So again, you're going to make sure you get butter on all of the sheets, because otherwise it's going to be a bit dry. So you can see we've got just over 3/4 of a 250 gram butter, and you just got to keep laying it in to make sure that it's all covered. So whilst you do the pastry, you need to also make sure you go back and stir your custard, because otherwise it's going to dry up. So you just need to stop and go back and stir it for a little bit. So you just have to make sure that there's about, again, 5 to 6 layers, but the main thing is that it's covered. So you just get the gist of the fact that it just needs to be covered, and if you've got a nice amount of filler, it's going to be nice and crunchy, but you don't want it to be too thick either.
And again, it's preferable, like if you like pastry.
Yeah, it's your preference, whatever you like. If you want more pastry, you put more. If you want less, but there at least needs to be 5 fully covered tray on the tray. So again, it needs to be around the whole edges. So you get the idea of that it just basically needs to cover the whole tray. So it depends on your size of your tray. Just pour that straight into the filo. Now you fold it all down, cut off what you don't need. So Yotes is just cut off a few little bits there, because you don't want it to be too thick around the corners. And again, you're making sure that when you're putting in those pastry into the pan, that you get into the corners without breaking it, because you want the custard to be around the whole dish. So you just add more butter. So the butter does what, Yotes?
Cooking.
Makes it cook, and it makes it nice and crunchy.
Crunchy, yeah. Crispy, not crunchy.
Crispy. So just buttering all those down. And then after that, how many do we put on the top?
Another 5.
Another 5. Again, depends how much you like. So you just put butter all the way down.
Otherwise it won't cook.
Won't cook, so you need to put the butter in there so then it gets all over the pastry. You don't want to see any of those dry bits. They should be soaked into butter.
Economy uses smaller. It has to be like the measuring.
Yes,
So before it'll be bigger tray, but
you have to use a bit of a bigger tray usually. But because we don't have a big party, it's just a small gathering tonight. We're just doing a small one. So just put that over the top now.
In the
You
middle,
just in the middle
where it's not enough.
where there's not enough. So you start there first. So this is not a part of your 5. This is just to basically get it covered, because there obviously isn't any pastry in the middle bit. And then now is when you sort of start adding your 5.
Make sure though you butter it properly.
We use the Antonio Filo pastry all the time, and if you look at the size of the sheets, if you have a pan that big, it's probably better, because then that way it'll fit on the pan. So if you grab a packet of that, you'll be able to see how big it is. Mum's onto her 3rd layer. Again, looks nice and neat. She's tucked it all in, and she'll get it up to about 6 sheets on there. So you just keep going till that's finished. 5, yeah, and then she'll score it. And why do you score it, Yotes? Why do you cut it?
So it's because
so it's easier to cut later. That's why. So we're just going to score it now again, so you don't get a custard explosion.
just the top.
Just the top, not all the way down to the bottom, just the pastry. So you've got to be very careful. Yotes is just using a pointy knife and thin pointy knife, and you're going to cut what, 4?
Yeah, 4.
Or 3 lines. So you're going to have 4 rows. And this is going to help you cut it later, and again it's going to stop the pastry from exploding. And so you're going to put that into what degree oven, Yotes?
180
180.
for 50 minutes.
50 minutes, 180.
Depends on the oven and depends on the...
So just till it's nice and golden brown. That's it. So that's cooked now, so what we're going to do is we're just going to turn it off and put a towel on there to let it cool down. Just got
Put in the syrupy.
to make sure you put it in the lines there so it gets all the way through the cake. And that's it. All done.